Hey, my sweethearts. Let's share a little moment of magic together. Today, you're about to embark on an epic journey. Picture this, it's a rainy night in Chicago, the sound of rain hitting the windows, and the sky full of tension. Two people, with dark pasts and hearts scarred by pain, find themselves on an impossible mission, to save a child in an abandoned warehouse, not knowing that this mission will turn into a nightmare of betrayal, secrets, and a race against time to prevent a global disaster. But what happens when what seems like a simple rescue mission turns into a fight for survival and the truth? What will Jessica and Michael uncover in this secret lab, and how will they face the demons of their past while racing against a deadly virus that threatens the entire world? Stay with me till the end, because the story you're about to hear will leave you breathless. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't waste any time. Stories like this can't be missed. Let's uncover this mystery together.
The Chicago sky, a menacing leaden gray, mirrored the tension that hung in the air. Amid the city's frenetic rhythm, we meet Jessica, a young paramedic with determination etched in her gaze and a past marked by loss. Her partner, Michael, a war veteran with deep scars, carried the weight of battles fought and the relentless search for redemption. They were the thin line between life and death, navigating the urban chaos with the precision of a clock. On a rainy night, an emergency call leads them to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The place, once a hub of activity, now exuded a sepulchral silence, broken only by the dripping of water and the creaking of the rusty structure. Inside, a child, lost and frightened, awaited rescue, a victim of an inexplicable accident. The mission, seemingly simple, soon turns into a labyrinth of challenges. The warehouse, with its secrets and hidden dangers, becomes a stage for trials. Jessica and Michael, confronted with their own demons, must work as a team, overcoming their differences and wounds, to save the child and, perhaps, themselves. With each obstacle, the tension increases, and the clock seems to tick faster. Fate puts them to the test, forcing them to confront their deepest fears and discover the strength that resides in their hearts. The night transforms into an epic journey, where hope and determination become the only weapons against adversity. Chicago, a metropolis of contrasts, served as the backdrop for Jessica and Michael's lives. The gleam of skyscrapers mixed with the shadows of alleys, and the city's hustle and bustle contrasted with the solitude of its inhabitants. Jessica, at 29, carried the pain of losing her parents in an accident, a trauma that drove her to save lives. Her determined gaze hid a fragility she struggled to overcome. Michael, 35, was a veteran of the war in Afghanistan, a man who had seen the worst of humanity. The scars on his body were a map of his battles, and the silence in his eyes reflected the pain he carried. He had become a paramedic in search of purpose, a way to give meaning to his life. The relationship between Jessica and Michael was complex. There was mutual respect, but also a constant tension, a result of their opposing personalities and painful pasts. They were like two pieces of a puzzle that fit together, but had not yet found a way to connect completely. Their initial motivation was simple: to save lives. But behind this mission, there was a deeper desire: to find inner peace, heal their wounds, and give meaning to their existence. The abandoned warehouse, with its secrets and dangers, would be the setting where they would be forced to confront their own demons and discover the strength that resided in their hearts. The search for the child in the warehouse revealed a dark secret: a clandestine laboratory where illegal experiments were being carried out. Jessica, recognizing one of the symbols, realized that the child's accident was not accidental, but part of a sinister plan. Michael, confronting his past, saw in the person responsible for the laboratory a ghost from his time in the war, a man he thought was dead. The rescue mission turned into a race against time, against a ruthless enemy, with twists and turns that put their lives at risk. Jessica and Michael's immediate goal was clear: rescue the child and expose the clandestine laboratory. But the warehouse, now a labyrinth of dangers, became a major obstacle. Dark corridors, hidden traps, and the presence of the laboratory's henchmen made the mission even more risky. The dynamic between Jessica and Michael deepened as they faced the challenges. The need to trust each other became increasingly evident. Jessica, with her keen intuition, and Michael, with his combat experience, formed an unbeatable duo despite their differences. Jessica discovers that the scientist behind the laboratory is a former college colleague, a man she admired and who now reveals himself to be a monster. This revelation shakes her deeply, calling into question her beliefs and values. Meanwhile, Michael needs to deal with his ghosts of the past, the shadow of the man he believed he had killed in the war. The rescue mission turns into a journey of self-discovery for both. Jessica and Michael's routine is abruptly interrupted when they discover that the rescued child, a girl named Lily, is not just a victim of the laboratory's experiments, but has a genetic link to a deadly virus that is being developed. This revelation transforms the rescue mission into a race against time to prevent a possible pandemic. The news of Lily's connection to the virus spreads quickly, and the clandestine laboratory becomes the center of an FBI investigation. Jessica and Michael find themselves in the middle of a web of conspiracies, with government agents, corrupt scientists, and the laboratory's henchmen on their trail. The urgency of the situation forces Jessica and Michael to make difficult decisions and take even greater risks. The need to protect Lily and prevent a global catastrophe becomes the main motivation for both. They need to join forces, overcome their differences, and trust each other to face the danger that is approaching. The search for answers leads them down a path of uncertainty, where the risk is constant and hope becomes the only weapon against the darkness. The revelation about Lily and the virus triggers a series of new events. Jessica and Michael become fugitives, hunted by the FBI and the laboratory's henchmen. They need to hide and find a way to protect Lily, while trying to unravel the secrets behind the virus. The search for answers leads them to an old abandoned hospital, a place that holds traces of past experiments. There, they find an old scientist, Dr. Ethan, a man who had worked on the virus project and who is now hiding for fear of reprisals. Dr. Ethan becomes an unlikely ally, revealing crucial information about the virus and about the man behind the laboratory, a powerful businessman named Victor. He also reveals that Lily has a natural immunity to the virus, making her the key to the cure. The chase intensifies, and Jessica and Michael need to use all their skills to escape their pursuers. With each step, the danger increases, and they find themselves increasingly isolated. The trust they place in each other becomes their only hope for survival. Michael discovers that Victor is the man he believed he had killed in the war, revealing that he had been deceived and that the past haunts him in an even deeper way. This revelation puts him in a moral dilemma and forces him to confront his own ghosts. The situation worsens when Victor, using his resources and influence, manages to frame Jessica and Michael for crimes they did not commit, turning them into targets of the media and public opinion. The persecution becomes even more relentless, and they need to fight against time and against injustice. The relationship between Jessica and Michael is tested to the limit. The pressure of the persecution and the revelation about Michael's past create tensions and mistrust. They need to learn to trust each other, even when everything seems to conspire against them. Dr. Ethan reveals that the cure for the virus is in a secret location, an underground laboratory beneath the old hospital. The search for the cure becomes a race against time, with the risk of the virus spreading and causing a pandemic. The tension increases when Victor kidnaps Lily, using her as a bargaining chip to lure Jessica and Michael into a trap. They need to make a difficult decision: risk their lives to save Lily or abandon the mission and let the virus spread. Michael's past comes back to haunt him when he discovers that Victor is not only the man he believed he had killed, but also his former superior in the war, the man who had betrayed him and left him with the scars he carried. The confrontation with Victor becomes inevitable, a settling of accounts that will define everyone's destiny. Jessica and Michael, aware of Victor's trap, decide to surrender to save Lily. They know it's a huge risk, but they see no other alternative. The decision marks a turning point in the story, putting them in a position of vulnerability. Upon surrendering, they are taken to the underground laboratory, where Victor reveals his plan: to use the virus to create a biological weapon and profit from selling the cure. The revelation shocks Jessica, who sees the greed and evil of her former college colleague. Michael, confronted with Victor, needs to control his anger and his desire for revenge. He realizes that Lily's life and the safety of the world depend on his ability to act rationally. The confrontation with Victor forces him to confront his own ghosts and find inner peace. Lily, even in captivity, shows surprising courage and intelligence. She manages to send a distress signal to Dr. Ethan, who mobilizes a group of allies to help Jessica and Michael. Lily's action becomes a point of hope in the midst of darkness. The arrival of the allies marks the beginning of a final battle in the laboratory. Jessica and Michael, with the help of their friends, fight against Victor's henchmen, while trying to find the cure for the virus and rescue Lily. The final confrontation approaches, and everyone's fate is at stake. The battle in the underground laboratory begins with minor clashes, where Jessica and Michael, along with their allies, face Victor's henchmen. The action is intense, with moments of tension and danger, but also of courage and determination. As they fight, they separate to fulfill different objectives. Jessica seeks the cure for the virus, while Michael tries to rescue Lily and prevent Victor from escaping. A moment of betrayal occurs when one of Jessica's allies, an FBI agent who had joined them, reveals himself to be a spy for Victor. The betrayal shakes Jessica's trust and forces her to rethink who she can trust. Dr. Ethan, using his scientific knowledge, manages to create an antidote for the virus, a breakthrough that gives hope to the mission. The antidote becomes the key to salvation, but also a target for Victor. Meanwhile, Michael approaches Victor, and a direct confrontation becomes inevitable. The tension reaches its peak when Victor, cornered, decides to release the virus in the laboratory, turning the place into a deadly danger zone. Jessica needs to race against time to find the antidote and prevent a catastrophe. Michael, meanwhile, faces Victor in a final confrontation. The past of the two mixes with the present, and the fight becomes a personal battle, where revenge and justice meet. The fight is intense, with moments of danger and overcoming. Lily, even in captivity, proves to be a key piece in the fight against Victor. She manages to escape from her captors and help Jessica find the antidote, showing her courage and intelligence. A final obstacle arises when Victor tries to escape with the antidote, using Lily as a hostage. Jessica and Michael need to work as a team to prevent the escape and save the girl's life. The mission becomes a race against time, with everyone's lives at stake. All the threads of the narrative align for the climax, where the final battle between Jessica, Michael, and Victor will define everyone's destiny. The emotion reaches its peak, and the audience prepares for the final confrontation, where good and evil face off in an epic battle. The final confrontation between Michael and Victor reaches its climax. The fight is brutal, with blows and twists, but Michael manages to control his anger and use his combat experience to disarm Victor. Revenge is set aside, and justice prevails. Meanwhile, Jessica, with the help of Lily, manages to find the antidote and prepare to distribute it in the laboratory. She faces a final obstacle when the FBI spy tries to stop her, but she uses her intelligence and determination to neutralize him. Dr. Ethan manages to create a version of the antidote that can be spread through the air, preventing a possible pandemic. Dr. Ethan's sacrifice, who exposes himself to the virus to test the effectiveness of the antidote, seals his redemption arc. With Victor defeated and the antidote in action, the danger in the laboratory is contained. Jessica, Michael, and Lily, along with their allies, manage to escape the place, leaving behind the chaos and destruction. The final battle is won, and the world is safe. The story of Jessica, Michael, and Lily becomes an example of courage and determination. They prove that, even in the face of the greatest adversities, hope and unity can overcome any obstacle. After the battle, Jessica, Michael, and Lily become heroes, recognized for their courage and determination. The clandestine laboratory is dismantled, and Victor is brought to justice for his crimes. The world learns a valuable lesson about the importance of ethics and responsibility in science and business. Good triumphs over evil, and justice is done. The story of Jessica, Michael, and Lily becomes a legend, a reminder that, Even in the face of the greatest adversities, courage, unity, and hope can overcome any obstacle. And you, what will you do to leave your mark on the world?